Hello, everyone, and welcome to Colorful Pixels, the show where I talk with the people behind the pixels. I'm your host, Carmen Askerneese, and today I'm talking with Eric Diaz. Hey, Eric, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, how's it going, Carmen? Thanks for having me, man.
Pretty well. I'm so excited to talk to you, and I want to start things off by asking, do you remember when you were first exposed to video games or like the first game you ever played?
Oh yeah, man. Oh gosh, I was pretty young. I think it was an NES game. Yeah, and I actually grew up playing. I'm kind of basic. I feel I grew up playing Mario. I had the NES and I played Duck
Awesome.
Hunt. It was Mario and Duck Hunt. But I think my second game that I ever got was Earthworm Jim, and it was just
It was awesome.
it was so great. So yeah, so I played a bunch of Mario, Duck Hunt, and eventually Earthworm Jim.
Man, I
Tom and
loved
Jerry
that
too.
Earthworm Jim game as a kid. Yeah. Well, technically it was my cousin's. I didn't have it, but
Nice.
yeah.
That's awesome.
I think they
Yeah.
remastered that at some point. Did you ever like play the remastered version?
No. Oh, like in 3D and whatnot?
I can't remember
No?
if it's been a
Okay.
while. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Got it. Yeah. I don't think I did, but I need to play it because I was a big Earthworm Jim fan, and yeah, I played it growing up for years, but I was pretty young. I mean, gosh, I must have been 4 or 5. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that playing Earthworm Jim inspired you to want to make games someday?
I think if it would have. I don't know that it did. I think that came a little bit later. Um, I it's funny, I worked at Halo for a long time, but and Halo did definitely influence me growing up because I was there at the beginning when, I was one of the kids playing the games. But I think for me actually it was Elder Scrolls Morrowind. Yeah. Like back when I was a young high school buck. Yeah, I used to do the modding thing. So this was a long time ago. The community has changed so much, and I don't really play much now. But yeah, but back in the day for Morrowind, I made this mod called the Dragon and Transmit mod, where you could you were underneath. Was it Vivek? I think there was a town called Vivek. No, it wasn't Vivek. It started with a B. It's escaping me. But anyway, it was one of the towns, kind of like a dark elf town, and right past the Silk Strider, you would go by this bridge, and underneath it, I plopped down this sort of a door, and that door would lead you into this cave, this massive, massive room where you fought a dragon, and if you beat the dragon, you could get this egg, and then a baby dragon would become your pet.
Oh, that's sick.
And so yeah. So anyway, so that was, I'd say, that whole experience and kind of growing up being a kid, modding games and stuff. That was kind of yeah, that was one of those experiences that led me that way for sure.
Man, it's so interesting because I remember having friends talk about playing Morrowind. I never played it myself. It was
Great
an
game.
MMO, right?
It was what now?
Was it an MMO?
No, Morrowind was. I mean, it was an open world game, but it was an RPG, open world RPG. Back, I'm going to date myself. I don't even remember, but it had to be the early 2000s. But yeah, but it was like you go in, you start as like this fresh character on a boat, and I think you were a prisoner who's released, and then you kind of have this whole open world, and you find out that you're basically like the messiah of that world.
Naturally,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
The chosen one.
The Nerevarine is, or something like that. Anyway, it's been a
That's
long time.
awesome. I feel like the Elder Scrolls game have a formula of like
They
I'm
do.
like going to jail, but I'm actually the chosen one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think there's something like kind of primal in those where it's like, you want to be the hero, and you want it to be you too. And there's something about that fantasy that, doesn't really get old. So it's a very bankable formula narratively.
I love it. I'm here for a hero's journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned that Halo was also really influential to you when you were first starting out. What do you think about Halo really resonated with you?
Blood Gulch, man. Blood Gulch. Oh, let me see. What was it? Well, I mean, I was one of those guys that grew up, watching Red versus Blue and all that stuff too. So those guys in
Yeah,
Rooster Teeth were doing great. But yeah, like as a kid growing up, it was kind of more about the community, I think. Like everybody, the whole LAN party thing. I did that. I remember throwing the old Xbox in the back of my truck at that time. I had a pickup truck, and we would go, to a friend's house and hang out.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
a lot of good fun.
Oh man, for people who don't know, a LAN party was a long time, not a long time ago, a while ago, a little while ago.
It's a while ago.
If you were going to play online with friends, you kind of had to be in the same place. So you had to physically be together to connect your consoles through LAN, like a local connection or like a LAN party. And that's what people would do. We'd all get together. We have our computers, we have our consoles, we'd all play together. Yeah, man, I can't remember the last time I did one of those. I think it was in college, but it was so fun. There's just something about like being all together with your
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah, and I think now, we do that so virtually that there's something that I kind of miss about those times, even though there's also a lot of things I don't miss about those times.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
multi-tap. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, screen watching, of course, that's what I mean, anyway. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. But I think growing up, playing competitive, games was a lot of fun. And I actually don't play as many competitive games now. I kind of think I had my fill, and now I'm like, oh, I want narrative. I want something new. And then honestly, I want something that I do want community-based games. I love multiplayer games like I'm playing Night Rain right now, which is very challenging, but it's cooperative and collaborative, and I think that's good. We need more work together types of things than just like let's shoot each other and tap B really fast. But then that can be fun. But also couch co-op games. I love couch co-op games, especially like my wife and I will play games together and whatnot. And yeah, I wish we made more. And actually, I think there's kind of like a resurgence of that too. But yeah, like the It Takes Two kind of came back, and before that, there was what was the brothers one where they escaped from prison
Well, I think
together?
A Way Out, is that the one?
A Way Out. Yeah. All the same studio, and they just released another one looks fantastic. I haven't had a chance to play, but even like Stardew Valley, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. My wife and I, when that all went multiplayer, we sat down, we built a farm together, and did that whole thing. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, their new one, Split Fiction. I played that with
Split
some friends
Fiction.
also, and I'm really excited that those types of games are making a comeback and a resurgence with those types of games. I'm excited for more of them. I think some recently got announced from different studios, so
Cool.
hopefully we see that become a trend and we can get more co-op stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of room for them. Yeah, especially if you can do those, not just couch co-op, but yeah, but online. A lot of options.
Do you remember when you decided, I love games and I want this to be something I do professionally? How did you did you know that you could become a game developer, or how did you kind of figure that out that that could be your job?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I have a very non-traditional entrance into the gaming industry. Yeah, when I first started out, uh, I worked for a while out of undergrad, and then I decided to go back to school. And so I went to Savannah College of Art and Design, and I got my master's. But I focused on motion media, and so I was an animator. I did design and animation and the convergence of those two things, as well as like storytelling and things. Yeah, for a discipline called motion media. So I kind of started in that space, and by the end of my time there, it was interesting. I had this opportunity to work on this collaborative project through the school where we actually ended up doing this. It's basically like a project. It was a class, but we did this project for Microsoft, and it was a bunch of people. It's like I think it was like 13 or 14 different students, and we ended up creating this like speculative IP to do a bunch of ideas for how we could use the Kinect. So we were doing like gesture-based like voice commands and things like that to kind of create a commander game. So we called it like Kinect Commander, and it was just this real basic premise, but we did this whole pitch. We shot it with like red cameras, and I lost so much sleep, and I did all these motion graphics and visual effects, and we put together this like pitch presentation with this 4K video, and we basically presented it to Microsoft, and they loved it so much that they ended up hiring myself and two other of the students, and thus began my career at Microsoft. And from there, I kind of bounced around. I worked a little bit on like Kinect, sorry, not the Kinect. Oh gosh, the MR thing, HoloLens. I worked on HoloLens for probably like 4 or 5 months, but I ended up landing at Halo. I sort of had this opportunity, like a year, to kind of shop myself around, so to speak, and just go to these different studios. Like I spent some time at Rare, but not physically there. I was working remotely from the downtown Redmond campus. Yeah, and so I did that. I was interested in going to a couple other ones that were out in London, but they were kind of on their way. I think their doors ended up closing, and it just wasn't the right opportunity. Yeah, that just kind of led me to get there. But as far as like that specific point where I saw myself making the decision, I don't know. I feel like it all just kind of happened, and I had the choice to kind of go a different way if I wanted, because I had other opportunities that were presenting them down in LA, and just like, well, no, I want to explore this. This is cool. I don't know where it's gonna go, and the unknown. Yeah, it just seemed like a great jump, so I did it.
That's so exciting. I've actually met quite a few people who went to SCAD and then came to games. So, I mean, I'm not sponsored by them, but it seems like it's a
Yeah.
good. But did you ever want to like go into animation since that's kind of what you were studying at school?
Yeah. So before that project I was telling you about, I was up in New York, and I was working for a studio called Imaginary Forces. So they do like main titles and show opens, for television, films, things like that. They also do commercials and things, but at that time, where my head was really at, I was just chasing like, the romance of the dream. I just wanted to make cool stuff, and I was really, really in love with show opens. And there was something about main title sequences that just was the marriage of everything that I loved at that point. I got to do editorial. I got to conceptually design and visually design and then animate and then storytell and kind of set the stage for what, a show or a movie was going to be, or do it in summary if it was like a main on end. And so I kind of took that path, and that led me. I ended up getting some like critical reception at just some of the contests. They were like school-based contests where you do some work, and they just gave me a couple of awards, and that ended up getting just me some attention for the studio. So I ended up having an opportunity to go out there, and I was really going to chase that for a bit because it just was something I thought that I always wanted. But then I also got to New York, and I was like, oh man, nothing gets New York. I think I felt like a little bit of a fish out of water. It was just too much, too fast for me at the time. Yeah. And then I still had to go back to school after that, and just life kind of happened afterward, and other opportunities opened up. And yeah, it just, sometimes life just happens, and you kind of keep your hands open. But for a while I kind of was like, oh man, what if I had done this? And I think I just found that you can't second guess yourself. But I enjoyed it. Yeah. I mean, I loved the time, that I worked there, and yeah, I don't regret it.
It sounds like your passions called you to games, but I mean that's actually really good insight because I think that sometimes people don't consider like the opening sequences. Someone made that. Like that's
Oh
really
yeah.
cool. And remembering specifically the Game of Thrones one, like how that kind of set a trend back in the early 2010s for a lot of shows that probably wouldn't have done it otherwise to start doing it. But I think that's like really amazing experience that you had, and then you brought that with you into the games industry. Have you found that like the skills that you gained from that job and also from your other disciplines have transferred to what you do now?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think for the first few years, it absolutely did. But then my role kind of evolved over time. I was at the studio for I think 10 years total, and I was at Microsoft for 11 years. But the 10 years that I was there, I kind of started out as a motion graphic artist. And so I was working on like trailers, live streams, things like that. And then over time, I started to get into a little bit of brand management and then design leadership later on. And then so I started leading teams, and then started doing more like franchise design sort of stuff. So we were, myself and the team, there was several of us, but we were kind of doing content for the franchise, but we were also creating like companion apps and experiences at first. But even before that, we were doing things like we worked on this basically a web series called Nightfall, which was in partnership with Ridley Scott and his team. So he ended up going out, and he subcontracted a lot of work, but he was the EP on the project. And so we worked in partnership with them. I went out to Iceland, did a bunch of stuff. And then myself and two other artists, we actually created like 30 or 40 minutes of basically like visual effects heavy, what we called it second stories, but kind of an additional narrative on top of what we were doing. It was all kind of bridging the gap between Halo 4 and Halo 5. So yeah, so a lot of different things. And then eventually all those collective opportunities kind of led to, and I think by that point I was already kind of working in a design leadership capacity, just had some opportunities to move over to the UI team to work on Infinite. And so kind of kept moving on that. I'm kind of rambling. I'm like consolidating my whole career in a nutshell, but
No,
yeah,
it's okay. I mean, thank you for sharing. It's really great to see the journey that you've had. I've talked to a lot of folks, and it's always interesting how like all of our journeys are so different, but there are these similarities between all of us. I think that like a lot of us have a lot of different skills. We have a lot of different things that we've done, and it's great to see that for everyone, really, in some points in your career, all that stuff kind of comes back around. So there's not really any wasted time, even if you're doing something in a different industry and come to games or leave games and come back.
absolutely.
It all kind of merges together, and there's opportunities for people to showcase their skills and apply those skills to various different aspects of a game project.
I also think just in general, one of the cool things about working at, I mean, not to say one's better than the other or not or whatnot, but if you like variety, there's just something about being in one of the studios where you kind of get to wear a lot of hats. I mean, and that can also be, it's kind of careful. You got to be a little careful because you don't want to overly generalize, right? You want to maintain your specialist kind of trajectory. And for me, that was always like design, whether it be visual animation or UX design, like, or the amalgamation of all those things, right? Like combining them into something that's cohesive, experience forward. But yeah, I think it when you kind of enter into that space early enough, you kind of get an opportunity to see, well, what's all interesting to you, and what are all the ways that you can grow. And then there's sometimes you might do that and you're like, well, maybe I don't want to grow that way actually after you kind of dip your toes in, and that's okay. Yeah, I had all those types of experiences and more over the course of 10 years there. So yeah.
I definitely did too. For a while, I thought I wanted to be a video editor, and then I started doing it professionally. It was like, actually, I don't enjoy this. I'm doing it professionally. Do you think that child you who loves playing Halo would be like ecstatic and proud to see that you've gotten to work on it and add to that franchise now?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I never thought that I would have worked there. Actually, it wasn't like something I had set out to do, and that's always kind of intriguing, or at least interesting. Maybe not intriguing, but it's just one of those things where, yeah, it was something that was really awesome that ended up happening. I'll never regret taking those steps. I loved having taken, and all the relationships and the people that you got to meet and like work in the trenches with. I have some like brother relationships that I still have with me, after all that time. And yeah, and I don't know that, and those are formed like over years and years of effort. It's not like, oh, I worked on that 3-month project with those people, and I suddenly became like tight. That only, it's like fighting in the trenches. It's almost like a war bond. It's a different type, but yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I was such a big fan of Star Wars as a kid, and my family watched all the Star Wars movies and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And now I got a chance to work on it and add to that franchise, and that was never like a dream of mine or ultimate goal. But when the opportunity arose, I was like, oh, this is really amazing because I love this. And I think that like for some creative projects, it may be a contract that's like shorter, or 3-4 months, 5-6 months, but with games, it could be 3, 5, 10 years sometimes. And so those bonds can be really deep.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Awesome. Well, I mean, before we wrap up, I did want to ask you, Eric, where can people find you online if people wanted to connect and follow you?
Oh yeah. Let's see. So I do have a website. So it's www.mrdies.com. It's MRDIES. Yes, like somebody dies. But yeah, so that's the easy way to find my work. See, I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can search for my name. Yeah, that should be easy. And then I'm on socials as well, so you can look me up there as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you all so much for listening and joining us today. I have been your host, Carmen Askerneese. You can find me at Carmen Askerneese on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also find me on Substack at The Save Point. I'd love for you all to join our colorful community. If you're watching on a video platform, be sure to like and subscribe for more episodes like this one on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps the podcast grow. And thank you all so much. Let me know what you thought and who you'd like to see as a future guest on the show. I'll see you next time.